You think you know exactly what China looks like? Your mind immediately goes to the ancient crumbling stones of the Great Wall. You picture endless factories, smog-filled skies, and massive gray megacities packed with millions of people constantly, rushing through endless traffic. But what if I told you that you have been looking at the wrong version of this country? What if I told you that the vast majority of this massive landmass is hiding secrets that do not even look like they belong on planet Earth? We are talking about neon-soaked cyberpunk cities, where heavy commuter trains drive directly through the middle of residential apartments. We are talking about ancient, forgotten villages hanging precariously off the edges of sheer vertical cliffs, defying gravity every single day. We are going to explore endless forests of towering stone that literally inspired Hollywood alien planets. We will see hidden valleys with pools of water so unnaturally bright and blue. They look like a digital glitch in the simulation. This is not the traditional, predictable China you see on the news or read about in boring travel brochures. This is a visual masterpiece on an entirely incomprehensible scale. Prepare to have your understanding of reality completely shattered. Human beings are simply not supposed to exist in an environment like this. When you stand at the bottom and look up at these vertical, sheer cliff faces, the concept of basic survival seems physically and logically impossible. Yet, clinging desperately to the side of this terrifying, merciless drop is Wangxian Valley, a dizzying, gravity-defying labyrinth of traditional wooden houses, shaking suspension bridges, and incredibly narrow walkways. Every single piece of this village is bolted directly into the solid rock face. Hundreds of feet below, a violent, roaring river tears through the deep gorge, its deafening sound echoing endlessly against the stone walls. The architecture here completely defies all logic, reasoning, and standard safety. It looks exactly like a high-budget fantasy village straight out of a movie, suspended precariously in the thin air between the sky and the dark abyss. But when night falls, the true, almost intimidating magic of this place takes over entirely. Thousands of glowing red lanterns illuminate the steep cliffside, reflecting a warm, eerie glow against the dark, cold rock. It completely transforms this impossible, dangerous settlement into a glowing, floating fortress in the dark. It stands as a breathtaking, slightly terrifying testament to absolute human stubbornness. There is a landscape on this planet so profoundly strange, so overwhelmingly majestic, that Hollywood directors used it as the literal blueprint for an alien world. Welcome to the towering heights of Zhangjiajie. Thousands of vertical, impossibly thin sandstone pillars shoot straight up from the dense jungle floor, piercing the sky like the broken teeth of an ancient giant. Some of these monolithic stone towers reach over 3,000 feet high, dwarfing absolutely everything around them. When the heavy, humid morning fog rolls into the valley, the base of the pillars disappears completely from view. They transform into floating islands of rock, suspended silently in a limitless, moving sea of white clouds. Now, I want you to imagine stepping out onto a transparent glass skywalk built straight into the side of these towering cliffs. Looking straight down through the glass triggers a primal, overwhelming sense of vertigo that sends pure adrenaline straight into your bloodstream. It completely breaks your brain's natural understanding of scale, distance, and height. You realize, very quickly, that you are not just looking at a beautiful mountain range. You are staring at the Earth's most aggressive, intimidating geological anomaly. Throughout the entirety of human history, settlements have always been built near fresh water. It provides necessary life, trade routes, and transportation. But almost never, in the history of global architecture, do you intentionally build a city directly on top of it. Welcome to the beautiful chaos of Furong Ancient Town, a 2,000-year-old historic village that sits exactly directly above a massive, multi-tiered, roaring waterfall. The water here does not just politely flow past the town, it violently crashes right through the absolute beating center of it. The traditional wooden houses, with their sweeping curved roofs, are perched so precariously close to the rocky edge that the cold mist constantly washes over the wooden balconies. When the sun sets, the entire town lights up in a brilliant, warm gold, reflecting endlessly off the chaotic, tumbling waters below. Walking through the narrow, slippery cobblestone streets, the deafening, thunderous roar of crashing water is completely inescapable. To walk behind the dense, heavy curtain of this waterfall, knowing an entire ancient, fully functioning city is operating right above your head, is an experience that simply cannot be replicated anywhere else. It is a community that thrives in a state of permanent, beautiful chaos. There is a massive, sprawling mountain range hidden deep in the remote northwest that looks exactly like a collective hallucination. The Zhangye Danxia landform is a stunning geological masterpiece, stretching for miles in impossibly vibrant, unnatural stripes of crimson, gold, emerald, and cerulean. It genuinely looks as if a massive giant took a giant paintbrush and dragged it aggressively across the surface of the Earth. These surreal, saturated colors are not a camera trick or an optical illusion. They are the magnificent result of 24 million years of dense red sandstone and mineral deposits pressed together and violently buckled by shifting tectonic plates. Walking through this incredibly bizarre landscape feels exactly like stepping out of a spaceship and onto a painted, barren alien planet. It completely defies your brain's deeply ingrained expectation of what a mountain is supposed to look like. Nature here is not just a passive, quiet environment. It is a loud, aggressive, high-contrast work of art. Step out of the ancient world and welcome to the real-world cyberpunk matrix. Chongqing is a hyperdense megacity that aggressively breaks every single fundamental rule of modern urban planning. It is a terrifyingly vertical labyrinth of endless, concrete, twisting steel, and bright neon built directly into steep, unforgiving mountainsides. The sheer scale and density here is enough to make anyone claustrophobic. In this city, you can take a fast elevator to the 10th floor of an apartment building, step out the back door, and find yourself on a busy street level with cars rushing by. The Li Ziba transit station is perhaps the most famous, internet-breaking example of this beautiful madness. Here, a full-sized, heavy commuter train runs directly through a massive hole carved into a 19-story residential apartment building every few minutes. And if you try to drive your own car here, you will face terrifying highway interchanges with 5 overlapping levels of roads going in 20 different, confusing directions. One wrong turn here, and your GPS will simply give up and abandon you. At night, the massive Zhangye Danxia complex lights up in vibrant colors, looking like a sprawling, futuristic fortress glowing brightly against the dark river. Looking at this, I have to ask, could you handle the daily sensory overload of living in a fast-paced, high-tech neon maze like this? Or does the sheer scale of it terrify you? Tell me what you think in the comments. During the height of the Cold War, Western spy satellite imagery picked up massive, perfectly circular, symmetrical structures hidden deep in the remote mountainous terrain of China. Top intelligence agencies briefly panicked, heavily suspecting. They were looking at a hidden network of nuclear missile silos, but the reality on the ground was far more fascinating and entirely peaceful. These are the Fujian Tulou, enormous, totally enclosed earthen fortresses masterfully built by the Hakka people many centuries ago. The incredibly thick clay and dirt walls were intentionally designed to be completely impenetrable to roaming bandits, violent warlords, and dangerous wild animals. But when you step inside these imposing fortress-like walls, you find a completely different world. Some of these wooden rings are several stories high and function as an entire self-sustaining enclosed village. They are capable of comfortably housing up to 800 people inside a single, continuous, highly organized structure. Standing directly in the center of one of these wooden rings, looking straight up at the perfect circle of open sky above, the absolute genius of the design hits you. In a modern world where everyone lives isolated in separate apartments, this level of tight-knit community living is almost unimaginable. It is an absolute architectural masterpiece of communal living, and undoubtedly one of the most brilliant and alien-looking survival strategies in human history. Water on planet Earth is simply not supposed to look like this. It completely shatters your basic understanding of natural colors and physics. The quietly cascading terraced pools of the Jiuzhaigou and Huanglong valleys look exactly like a highly rendered digital glitch in nature. The pristine water sitting here is an almost blinding, completely unnatural shade of turquoise, deep sapphire, and glowing emerald green. The vivid colors are so heavily saturated and intense that any photograph of them looks completely photoshopped and fake. But this visual magic is purely the natural result of heavy calcium carbonate and mineral concentrations flowing slowly over the pale limestone beds for millennia. Looking beneath the perfectly still, glass-like surface, ancient fallen trees lie perfectly preserved at the bottom. They are coated entirely in thick white minerals, looking exactly like a sunken, petrified ghost forest trapped in time. It is a painfully quiet, incredibly delicate, and fragile ecosystem that feels entirely disconnected from the loud, polluted, chaotic modern world outside. This is a sacred place where nature itself demands absolute, uninterrupted, and profound silence. Gravity is supposed to be an unbreakable fundamental law of physics. But whoever designed this impossible architecture clearly treated gravity like a mere suggestion. Built meticulously over 1,500 years ago, the Xuankong Si, better known as the Hanging Temple, clings desperately to a near-vertical cliff face. It is suspended perilously high above a deep, rocky, and unforgiving gorge. The entire heavy wooden complex is astonishingly propped up by long, incredibly slender timber pillars. These wooden beams are wedged tightly into shallow holes, chiseled directly into the sheer rock. Visually, it looks as though a single strong gust of wind could rip the entire structure down into the valley below. When you dare to walk along its incredibly narrow, loudly creaking wooden balconies, your heart drops. There is absolutely nothing but thin air and certain doom beneath your trembling feet. It was built in this terrifying location for a very specific, practical reason: to completely avoid the devastating, destructive floods of the volatile river below, and to securely shelter its sacred ancient texts from rain and heavy snow. It remains a terrifying, miraculous wooden structure that has somehow survived violent earthquakes and centuries of extreme weather, hanging by a literal thread against all physical odds. Rising dramatically over 8,000 feet straight up into the clouds is a lone, isolated spire of rock. It looks exactly like a giant stony thumb pointing directly upwards at the heavens above. This is the sacred peak of Fanjingshan, and sitting precisely on the absolute, terrifying razor's edge of this impossible mountain peak are two ancient Buddhist temples. They are violently separated by a terrifying, plunging, bottomless gorge. The only thing connecting these two shrines is a tiny, incredibly narrow arched stone bridge suspended entirely in the swirling clouds. Simply getting to this point is an absolute grueling physical trial. It requires climbing thousands of impossibly steep, slippery stone steps, pushing through a dense, unforgiving primordial forest for hours. When the heavy, unpredictable fog surrounds the top of the peak, the base of the mountain disappears completely from view. The temples appear to be magically floating in the sky, entirely untethered from the earth below. Be completely honest with yourself right now. If you pushed your body to the limit and finally made it to the very top, would you actually be brave enough to walk across that narrow stone bridge over the abyss? Or are you staying safely on one side? Let me know. After the terrifying heights and massive cities, there is a mystical, profoundly poetic rhythm to the Li River. It is a slow, quiet place that feels infinitely older than time itself. Winding smoothly through the Guilin and Yangshuo regions, the gentle river cuts seamlessly through an endless, sprawling forest of towering karst peaks. These unique rounded mountains fade perfectly into the distant, misty horizon. This exact, flawless landscape is so profoundly, deeply beautiful that it has directly inspired famous Chinese scroll paintings, philosophers, and poetry for over 1,000 uninterrupted years. As the morning sun slowly rises, casting a rich, warm golden glow over the calm water, local fishermen still glide effortlessly across the mirror-like surface on simple, narrow bamboo rafts. They use highly trained cormorant birds to dive deep into the river and catch fish for them. It is an incredible, symbiotic tradition that has remained virtually untouched and unbothered by the loud, fast-paced modern world. The absolute, pristine silence found here provides a profound, healing sense of peace. It serves as the perfect, quiet, grounding contrast to the extreme, overwhelming impossibilities found everywhere else in this country. China is not just a single country with a single story. It is a vast, chaotic collection of impossible worlds. It is neon-drenched cities running trains through apartment buildings, ancient wooden temples openly defying gravity, and painted, striped mountains that look like a vivid hallucination. Exploring this landscape completely forces you to rewrite, and redefine what human beings are truly capable of building against all odds, and what wild nature is capable of creating over millions of years. If this incredible journey completely changed your perspective on what exists out there, hit the subscribe button right now, because Beyond the Horizon is entirely dedicated to proving that this planet is far more magnificent, far stranger, and far more beautiful than we have ever been told. And I promise you, our very next destination will push those boundaries even further.